Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Mailroute.info. Mailroute is a secure hosted service that provides enterprise-grade virus and spam filtering to companies of any size. Try it right now, absolutely free, at Mailroute.info.
Is Monday, April 4th, 2011, and welcome to another edition of All About Android. This is your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Eileen Rivera.
I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
We're back. Episode dos.
That means that we've been renewed for another week for the show.
They can't stop us.
Hopefully, if we continue doing okay, they'll renew us for a third week.
Exactly.
So we'll see how that goes.
Hey, this week we're going to talk about music in the cloud, in-app billing, and a lot more of your feedback. And we got a ton of feedback after our first episode. Thank you so much. There's so many questions I want to answer.
Yeah, totally.
And suggestions and tips and great voicemails. We can't get to all of them, but we'll try.
Yeah, we'll try. We've got a nice little feedback section. But yeah, like you said, we got inundated with really positive feedback about episode 1, and feeling like we're kind of doing okay here with this show so far.
Thank you.
Right off the top. So that feels good. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's been going on with the both of you in the past week?
You go for it, Ron, because I think you've got a lot more exciting week than I do.
Exciting. I'm wiped. I was in San Francisco this past weekend, was WonderCon, the comic book convention, and I was working that, so my voice is practically gone, but I'm here.
Nice.
Not going to miss the show, so yeah. But
Cool.
I'm a little tired, but it was a good time. It was great for the past week, checking out the World of Comic Books down in the Moscone Center down in San Francisco. It's very cool.
Right on.
Did you guys make it to the show, or?
Yeah, I did, actually. I made it on Saturday, and I walked around. I actually sat in the panel room for a long time and just watched a bunch of trailers and stuff like that. And then I roamed the floor for a little bit on Saturday, but that was about it. But that was fun. I had a good time.
It's a fun show, yeah. Good times.
It's a warm-up for Comic-Con, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's totally Comic-Con practice. It totally is. And practicing both for, your exercise and your feet and my liver and all the
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we go ahead and get started? We've got some news.
That's right. Boom.
That was
Nice.
fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Spiced it up a little bit.
So to kick things off, Eileen, you mentioned we're going to be, talking about some music in the cloud, and that was mainly kicked off because, I'm out the other night, and I'm checking Twitter on my phone, and I start seeing all these tweets about Amazon released this cloud player. And I literally left the bar and ran home to see what was going on.
Seriously?
Seriously, that's what happened to me. I don't know if people follow me on Twitter, but I ran home, and then I got up as soon as I could get home and check it out. And I was tweeting some of my immediate feedback. And we're actually going to get into it a little more in depth later on in the show. So a little bit of a tease here. But the big news was that Amazon launched a cloud solution for music, which allows you to store upload and store your MP3s to their service, and then stream it to your phone, use it on the web. Pretty much everything Lala was and a little bit more. So I was super, super excited because I'm a big music fan and I've wanted this kind of solution. So I don't want to get too much into what my thoughts are, but it exists. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what we call a tease, ladies and gentlemen. That's coming up later in the show in the app section.
Yep.
All right. Also, Android in-app billing goes live. Google finally launched in-app payment support for Android applications, such as the new Tap Revenge, Gunbro, Dungeon Defenders, and Comixology all have in-app purchasing. Google will take the same 30% cut that Apple takes from in-app purchases. About time. Very glad it's here.
Yeah, I'm sure developers are pretty happy to have that as well. And then finally, last week we talked about the delay of distribution of the Honeycomb source code and, just basically the definition of open source, how that relates to Android. Now there are some rumblings that most spawning from this Business Week article that dozens of executives working at key companies in the Android ecosystem, Google is actively working to gain control and finally say, and basically have the final say over customization of of its mobile OS, and possibly demanding that content partnerships, OS tweaks, those types of things get the blessing of Sir Andy Rubin before proceeding. Ooh. So,
well, you know.
I just go back to the "What would Andy say" thing. That's all I can think about. The mouth movie. Yeah.
Yeah, we really should have thought that a little bit further in here and gotten a direct quote, because we could have used that little visual gag again. But yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. It's really it's a tough situation, because I don't blame them for doing it.
Absolutely.
Me either.
You know, it makes perfect sense from a business standpoint. So it's just it's a challenge when you live in a world of open source and all that sort of stuff. And it would be great that you can just put it out there and let people do what they want to do. But we're talking millions of people using it. With all the different flavors and variations, there needs to be some level of standard. So they got to find some happy medium. So
yeah, and they're actively working at this point, it seems like, to kind of change what Android had, the perception of Android. And will that be a good decision or a bad decision? I think ultimately it'd probably be good to kind of tighten up the experience. But people are very used to hearing Android and open in the same category. Whether it's it's actually open is a completely different discussion, but that's a hard switch to make midway. So we'll see.
And from Google to carriers, right?
Oh yes. So now this is the challenging one here.
Yeah.
So basically we were forwarded this article. I gotta scroll down here. Forward this article, bootloaders, rooting, manufacturers, and carriers, and it's basically a pretty long and lengthy discussion piece from a developer, P3 Droid, who has worked on some root software, and I can't remember if there was a name of the exact OS he was.
He's been working on Android for about 17 months. So it sounds like he's a guy who's got a lot of experience on the Android platform. And this is actually a forum posting in the My Droid World forum. And it's fascinating. Before we started the show, I was reading through it, and it's just like a really interesting point of view from a developer, and how the information that they're getting when it comes to rooting and developing applications, and what the carriers are doing to know how many people are rooting it. I had no idea, and he talks about it a little more. He found out that apparently they're using the updates, sending out the updates to phones. The rooted phones don't accept the update, but that's getting reported back to the carriers, so they know how many people have rooted their phones. And so then the question is, okay, well, why do they have that information? What are they going to do with it? And then how are they going to change things to keep people from rooting, or put parameters around that? And how does that affect developers?
Yeah, and it's kind of a sketchy switch to be had. It kind of has, from what I understand, a large majority. There was we mentioned it very, very briefly last week, that the Droid X and I think the Droid 2 possibly, there was a gingerbread, an unofficial gingerbread leak out there. So people rushed to install that on their Droid phones. Well, it's very possible that a lot of those people are kind of scared about the implications of this, because it might mean that with the new version of gingerbread that they've installed on their phone, they might be pulled into this tracking. But we got oh, sorry, go.
I was going to say, he makes a really, I think, salient and important point, that a lot of the practices that are being done for this are not unique to Motorola or to Verizon. That this sort of data transferring and tracking stuff like that, a lot of the carriers and a lot of the manufacturers are doing it. So it's not like a strange practice. Yeah. But the future of being able to root and mod your Android phone the road might be a little shorter than people thought.
Yeah, that's a little sketchy. But we were sent this from Mark A, who emailed this in. We wanted to kind of throw it out there. We didn't have a whole lot of time before the show to kind of digest the information and figure out exactly how we feel about it, other than, a little bit of trepidation. Right. I root my phone, and, from what I read here, I might not be in that target category because I'm on really old hardware, but eventually I'm going to upgrade, and I'm probably going to want to root my phone just because I'm used to that. So this may affect me personally. We're curious to know how it affects you and what you think about this. Send us an email, aaa@twit.tv, or you can leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA, and let us know how you feel about this. Maybe we can work on possibly bringing in a developer of some sort on next week to kind of give us their impression, their take from the developer standpoint on this, because it seems like potentially a pretty big deal.
That would be great. That point of view from the developer side is just so fascinating to me, just to see what the challenges they do and because developers want to push the envelope. and and obstacles that keep them from doing that, like this, challenge development. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Well, let's move on to hardware.
What? Oh. I didn't have the volume up on that one. There we go.
Did you like that? That was cool, right?
That was very cool.
Eileen, you made a lot of these graphics actually. So
Oh, I just had fun.
you get the
on
credit
motion.
on those.
We're going to start off with my first week's impressions on the Xoom. And, I wanted to, last week I only had it for a day. It really wasn't fair. So, and just to clarify, I also have an iPad. So I think I kind of get this tablet thing, And so I've been playing around with the Xoom for a week now. And, the number one question that I keep getting asked by just the general population of users is, okay, look, I'm looking to buy a tablet. Should I get the Xoom or the iPad 2? Tough question, but I think I've come up with a reasonable answer for this that shouldn't really get me into too much trouble, although it might. I don't know. Listen, the Xoom, since I've been using it, is pretty much, I feel like where the original iPad was a year ago. And they're having their year anniversary as of yesterday, April 3rd. And when you got it, not much going on yet, hardly any apps, but there was a lot of potential. And that's exactly where I see the Xoom at. Last week, Ron, you said, hey, we're at the top of the first inning. You're right.
Yep.
And it's all very new. If you were an Android, if you were the Android faithful, could care less about iOS, and you want to jump in now and learn and understand the tablet space from the Android perspective, this is your tablet. This is great. And there's going to be many more. I mean, we heard rumors about the LG Nexus tablet. Great. If you are and I think you'll enjoy the experience, quite frankly. If you are an average consumer looking for something easy, looking for something with all the bells and whistles, then I have to recommend the iPad 2. I mean, that is the granddaddy. That one is there. It's ready to go. It's got everything, and it's a pretty decent, device. That being said, with the Xoom, I've had, a lot of fun reading. I've had a lot of fun, downloading apps, playing some games. A lot of the quirks and the complaints I had last week are all starting to change because all of these apps are updating. So, for instance, this calendar app, Jort, that I really like, that Ron told me about, it works now. Like,
Yay.
I was complaining last week, I couldn't sync. Well, guess what? Later that night, they came out with an update. Yay!
They heard you. Yeah.
Gaming is actually really fun. I can't wait till there's actually more games on the horizon for this device because, and I'm trying to play a snowboarding game right now, and I'll show you how that is. But, the screen is nice and gorgeous. Hey, game, why don't you start? And I only see the potential more and more. It just won't load. You get the screen, and it's like, hey, come on.
Is it locked up, or is it just a long boot screen?
That's a good question. It shouldn't be locked up. Come on, snowboarding. Okay, I'm going to have to show you that game in just a minute. And, how about this game? Sorry, for those of you who are listening and not watching. But, reading is fun. I have to say, loading video and the video quality isn't that great to me. I don't know if it's the 10.1 size. I don't know if it's the way it's stretching the video, but it's a little grainy.
Mm-hmm. Are you streaming video? Or are you?
I am streaming video with YouTube, and then I also have some video that I downloaded and put onto the Xoom. So, but let me show you this game. This is not that bad. Okay, I've chosen my plane. Boy, I'm having user error here. Live. Fun. Okay, let's restart. Sorry, guys.
It's strange when this happens on like a demonstration too, because you're like, that hasn't really happened to me before the demonstration. But when it really counts, it does.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep playing with this.
You didn't create the app, or
I will. I'll probably in the middle
part of the experience.
In the middle of Ron's story, I'm just going to go. Wait a minute! I got the game to launch.
This is fantastic.
This is so fun. Check it out. No, this is actually what happened to me last time. But anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Well, see what I
well.
mean? It's not quite intuitive. That's my complaint with a lot of this stuff, and I know I'm using it wrong, okay? But...
Richard Dia in the chat room says, enough said, I'm getting an iPad.
Did you see? Let me see if I have any other. Let's see, video.
Oh, some things work. It does. Trust us.
Yeah, see, okay, now this isn't HD, but let's see if I can get this to work. You know the show.
Nice.
So, you know, this is not HD, but this is kind of the quality that you have. This is a video that I put onto the Zoom, which I used double twist to put the video on
to sync your video onto
the
device. What do you see as far as lag is concerned? I feel like lag's just one of those things that'll
lag on
just lag on the user interface in general.
Yeah, I mean,
going from one app to another, switching screens. It's like after a while you use something and you tend to notice that lag the more you use it, and I don't know, it just seems to get in the way a lot of the times.
I notice it jumping from even in the browsers, even going from tabbing from one link to another. I do notice it a little bit, but it also happens on the iPad as well when you're moving from application to application. So again, it's not quite the smoothest experience yet, but I have to think that they're going to get there. And I say that now. Today is what, April 4th? Who knows what's going to happen in September? This could all change by then. Yep. 6 months later, this thing could be really snappy and updated. And obviously, there are more apps coming into the marketplace. I really think that's where it's going to be at, because otherwise, you want to use it for gaming. You want to use it for a lot of other things. And when Netflix comes on this thing, if it ever does, that's what I use my iPad for. I watch streaming, and videos and reading and all that stuff. So, again, this is only my first week with the device. And what I'd like to do is actually hand it off to my compadres here. I'm going to give it to Jason for the next week.
Sweet.
And he doesn't have a tablet at all, so he's not tainted. Like me, I'm tainted, right? And then after that, we'll give it to Ron so that we'll all have an equal week experience together. And then it'll come back to me, and we'll just kind of, we'll pass it along. And I think that way we're all knowledgeable, so it's not just me talking about it. And we're all probably going to have different reasons and different purposes to use
different ways that it gets used. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
What I'm interested in is seeing what your experiences are.
Absolutely.
As well.
I mean, I'm still in that camp of I can't find a reason why I need a tablet. I'm sure I would love to have one. I don't know if I'd plunk down the $500-600 for a tablet because I can't really justify it in my life. Like, why do I need that? I have a laptop. I have a desktop. And when you're holding I have a phone that I do a lot of my portable stuff on.
Well, when you're holding your baby and then you've got this tablet here, it's gonna be a little different experience than just having your phone, right?
Well, yeah, at that point she's probably getting distracted by the tablet. At least with a phone I can hide it, and it won't catch her eye and wake her up or whatever.
Right. With the little, as the little one gets older, Jason, I've seen kid like a 18-month-old with an iPad, totally using it fine, pulling up video, watching it like. Yeah. It's and a buddy of mine just bought one for picture books.
Oh
for his 2-year-old. So so as the tablets could have a different kind of use for smaller kids than we never even thought of. So
I can see that for sure.
Okay, I think I'm finally. Oh, hello.
Hey, there we go.
You need me to talk to stall for you, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay, yeah.
We needed to start talking about kids, and it was like, oh god, we're talking about kids. Let's just get to the game.
3, 2, 1. See, now this is.
Oh, this looks cool.
Very cool borders like.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
Oops. Oh.
Hey, that's not
Don't
too
die.
shabby. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so finally I got to.
Now is this a game that's kind of optimized for the tablet?
This one is optimized for the tablet. It's free in the Android marketplace. It's this. You can actually get it for your phone too right now. But this, I don't know. Did you guys ever play SSX Tricky? Oh
no.
Okay, well, I did for the Nintendo GameCube, and this is what it totally reminds me of. So this is, one example of sort of the potential. Just this is like the first game. It's always like a snowboarder, like a I suck right now. It's always kind of basic gaming. There's actually some there's another game, Vendetta Online, that I've been trying to start playing, but I haven't had time. But now that I'm passing it on to Jason, I'll have to wait.
Yeah, leave that on there because I was a huge fan of Cool Borders, I gotta say.
Oh, this one? Oh yeah, I'll leave all. You get the Carrie Underwood song, everything.
Oh, great.
You get it all.
I'm a huge non-fan of Carrie Underwood, so that's perfect. I can delete her from there for you.
You can delete her if you want. But maybe we should have a representative
You just let me know
every genre.
if you want me to, and I'll go ahead and do that.
All right. Well, anyways, that's my first week's impressions, and
Great.
I'm sure I'm going to have more. And as the marketplace evolves, and as the operating system gets stronger, we'll have more to say as the weeks go by.
Early days for the tablet, the Android tablet, but I'm very curious to play around with it and kind of see if at the end of my little my little trial with it, I'm like, okay, now I get where it fits in my life and I want one. But then that's just another thing that I'm going to have to get and figure out how I get that. So that's awesome. So just really quickly in some hardware news, and this unfortunately only really relates to Verizon, but we're going to try and kind of spread the love as far as some of these hardware rumors and as they come out on different carriers and stuff, so that we're not all locked into one single carrier. But Verizon's spring roadmap leaked a little later last week, and it shows about 8 phones that are releasing in the next 60 days. A lot of these phones you've undoubtedly heard of, more specifically the Moto Droid X2, the Droid Bionic, which is one that I'm actually kind of looking forward to playing around with, LG Revolution, the Xperia. I assume that's the Xperia Play because it says able to play PlayStation. So, and that's within the next 60 days. So if you're in the market, maybe this is a reason for you to just hang out a little bit longer and wait for some of those other cool phones on the horizon. That's
Verizon always has so many handsets available, and when I used to be a Verizon customer, I always have a hard time finding one to pick, find the right one to fit, because there's so many different flavors and options that they provide. So.
And then about the time you're going to buy one, something like this leaks, and it's like, oh, but if you wait another 90 days, you can get this one over here, and then you wait, and it's just like this vicious cycle that never ends.
I like the Casio Commando, the waterproof Android device. I haven't heard about that one yet.
Nice, and Casio for the win.
There you go.
Right on.
Didn't I tell you I was going to interrupt your story and say, hey, I've got this running finally?
Of course.
Oh, yeah. So I wonder what it got hung up on then.
Well, it was me. It was user error. It really was.
I saw you were pressing the buttons.
And then there you go. Sometimes I think some of the buttons are not as responsive as they should be.
Yeah.
When tapping, it should just work, and it doesn't.
Or if because of the touch sensitivity and stuff like that.
Yep.
It could be,
Whoa, what was that about?
And realizing that it's a multi-touch screen, but if you happen to be, you're holding it and the palm of your hand is touching a corner of the screen, and then you're trying to press the other button, that can throw off its sensitivity, or how it detects that push. So
I
still call it user error on my part. But
all right, we'll let you take blame for it.
Somebody there is watching. Come on, Eileen.
I know, right?
Just press that. I'm trying.
Well, speaking of games, the PSX games are now available in the Android marketplace if you have a Sony Xperia device. So there are 5 titles currently available in the Android market. Siphon Filter, Medieval, Cool Borders 2, Jason.
Hey, there we go.
Yep, Destruction Derby and Jumping Flash. And you can, if you have the Xperia Play, you can download them from the Android marketplace. They're now available, making it finally able to play the PlayStation game. Some questions around the size of the games and, portability and copying, whether or not. Apparently, the market says that the game's only 5 meg, but that's dubious because games tend to be very big downloads and very big kind of files. So kind of interesting to see the PSX games starting to work their way out to the marketplace and to users. So
I tried to buy it.
Didn't
let me buy it.
Because
I went into the web marketplace and I went ahead and got okay, drop down, and they said no, not allowed. All right. We recognized I didn't have the device, so
and they're not that expensive. I mean, this article we're looking at here listed the games are £3.99 pounds, like UK pounds. I don't know what that is in American. It's like $5. It's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad, but then you consider that you're playing, really old, PlayStation 1 games. And I'll just go ahead and go on the record and say that I have a PS3 at home, and I've gone on the PlayStation Network and downloaded some of those games I had fond memories of, including Cool Borders.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of rough going back, but maybe on these smaller screens it'll look a little better. Blowing that up to like 50-inch screen at home doesn't really stand up.
Does anybody here want to get the Xperia Play?
I've thought about it.
Yeah?
I've thought about it actually for this next little blurb here, which we'll just go ahead and talk about, which is that I think it would be really good if emulation is your game. Like in this example, this is N64oid. It's a Nintendo 64 emulator, and of course I switched to it right when it went away. But when I first got my Motorola Droid, I was like, oh, cool. I can emulate, like, I'm a big fan of the Commodore 64, so I put a C64 emulator on there, and some of the games that I used to play when I was younger, and it's great. It can do it, but using the slide out keyboard or using the touch screens on the screen, like, it just never really worked the way I wanted it to. If you're using an Xperia Play, right out of the box, it's meant to do that. I just imagine these things suddenly become amazing emulation machines where you can just have a bunch of games on there and play some old games and not be tripped up by the fact that the controls just aren't quite right, because they aren't anymore. They're great, So anyway, so that's kind of cool to see where that goes.
All right. Well, speaking of Sony, the Xperia X10 goes on sale for just $1.
Yes,
$1.
you too can get this piece of.
And
I've never used it. I've just heard that it's not that great.
In the future, it's going to have gingerbread. So, hey, if you don't have a lot of money and you want a new phone and you want an Android, maybe this is for you. $1. At
Best Buy, right?
At Best Buy. 2-year contract activation. I have to admit, I used one of these phones. I am not very fond of it. The Sony Xperia Arc that is supposed to come out later this summer, I think. Now, that's a nice phone. And that one definitely has gingerbread on it. I saw that at CES. Gorgeous. Thin, clear resolution. The UI running gingerbread looked great. So, but that's not going to be $1. So you won't care if you can't afford it. I don't know. Anybody care? Anybody know anybody who would want to purchase this for $1?
I don't know. The reviews for this one don't seem very glowing.
But there's always somebody who has it.
Oh, of course.
That's the thing. That's why there's a dollar store.
Yeah.
And not everybody can afford, the $199 plus 2-year contract,
Absolutely.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
So, we've got a lot of questions that came to us. What phone should I get if I'm looking to switch, that kind of thing. This isn't the one to have the best Android experience, but if you really can't afford something, then that might actually not be a bad way to start.
Keep in mind, they're promising you something for the future. That doesn't necessarily always mean you're going to get it. That's
true.
As Pat in the chat room points out with the fascinating 2.2, that was promised, and I don't believe that ended up happening. So you never know. You could end up paying $1 for this phone and not get gingerbread, which is what you bought it for in the first place, possibly. But
very true.
Anyways, PSA aside.
All right.
Let's move on to the apps, which I don't have a drop for.
Oh, you don't?
But I will.
I was sitting here
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Yes, every single episode, it seems like I have another drop for it. So
next week we'll have one for apps. Apps. Okay, well, one of the most exciting things as a iOS user moving to Android that I am obsessed with right now, and I don't know if I'm going to get over it or I'm just going to still love it, is widgets. I love widgets on my phone. I love customization. I could show you my phone right now. I've got some music players, Audible. There's Jort there. This is beautiful widgets. I actually tweeted out on our account, Android Show, at Android Show, what are some of your favorite widgets? And I got a lot of really cool suggestions. I just wanted to know what other widgets were out there, even though I already knew which one I was going to talk about. But Beautiful Widgets is one of them. And as you can see, it's not the one that I'm going to talk about today, but that's gorgeous.
Beautiful Widgets is a very, very popular.
Very gorgeous. Look at that compared to, you can have it many sizes, that kind of thing. And there's even like a battery widget. Oops, didn't mean to launch.
I can't live without my battery widget. I love it.
Yeah, really?
Oh, yeah, totally.
But today I'm going to talk about, and I don't know how to, is it AI? I always say AIX, but it's X. Is that, what would you say? AIX?
It's I don't know. Aches? Doesn't sound that great.
It's capital A, lowercase I, lowercase
exactly.
X.
So it almost is begging to be said.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Aches.
I love weather. And I like to monitor weather. I'm one of those, if I really could, I would watch the Weather Channel all day. I really just like knowing about weather all around different parts of the country. And, I had a different widget earlier, and then I found this one. And basically, as you can see, it's like a graph here. I don't know if it's too long. You might not be able to see it.
You can see it.
But basically, the widget here, this is for San Rafael, the city that I live in, and it shows you pretty much by hour how the weather's going to be. So right now, supposedly around 70, it's going to dip. Later in the evening, around 50 something, and then first thing in the morning, it's going to start around 50 something to 60, and then come back up. And that's all it is. It's a graph. I actually loaded a couple more of the same widgets for New York and Honolulu. Now look at New York. It looks like you guys are going to get some rain tomorrow morning. You could see that immediately. Instead of just knowing what it is right now, you can kind of plan your day a little bit just by looking at this one widget. And here's Honolulu, not really fair. And then I have that in Celsius too. Oh, I have these two in Celsius, which is really funny. But you can customize these, configure your widget in many different ways. You can load it only Wi-Fi only. Again, I had Celsius on that, but you can have obviously Fahrenheit or Celsius. You could you could change the colors, the background colors, the text color. I didn't change anything. That's the stock that you saw on my phone, but you could change it. You could change the grid color. You could change with the rain bar color, above freezing, below freezing. Looks like really customize it. And then of course you can have various locations. I went ahead and just did San Rafael, New York, and Honolulu. I don't know. I like it as I like graphs and charts too. Call me weird. I don't know, but. I just think it's an interesting way to look at the weather, and I have it clearly on my home screen in the front right there every day. Simple widget, just a different way of looking at the weather and charting and graphing if you like that kind of thing, but it's one of my favorites.
I think actually the built-in into Android 2.2, I think, is when they started doing it, the news and weather app, the kind of stock one. You go there and you click on the kind of the outlook in the weather area, you'll get something kind of similar to that, but it's not in the form of a widget. I mean, it is a widget,
right?
But you don't get that information as a widget. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
So, anyways,
we should definitely continue.
Free.
Oh yeah,
free. I should say that it's free in the Android marketplace.
Yeah, and here's the screen for that. We'll have the links to this in the show notes. I promise. I don't know if last week's show notes ended up happening, but I got to figure out a system for that. But so this will be in there, and you can't bulk it free. Do you find that the more widgets you use, there's any sort of degradation of your battery life? I always fear that, but I don't know if it's
I'm a heavy user of my phone, regardless. So I do a lot of things. Playing music. I have a lot of background updates. So I just tend to think I drain the battery faster than your average user, period. But I'm sure that there is something to that. Yeah. I'm just concerned about that because I have the oldest of old phones. So anything like that is going to kill me if I go overboard with it. So which he'll soon upgrade on the Jason. What phone will Jason get? Watch.
I forgot to do my pick. Dang! All right, next week I will have my pick of the phone. I think Jason, we were talking this week. I'm going to figure out. I'm going to predict what phone you're going to get.
Okay. All right. Cool. I totally forgot about that too.
I'm adding that to Evernote right now.
Excellent. Well, I was going to do a tip this week, and then I saw this fancy app come along called ZD Box. It kind of hit a few of the blogs, and I started checking it out. And I was, I ended up having to pose the question to myself: is it a tip if it's an app? And I think that there's maybe a fine line, but the reason I decided that, yes, this is kind of a tip in and of itself is because ZD Box attempts to do something that you might be doing with a whole lot of other apps in conjunction with each other. Does things like task killer, battery meter. It's an app manager, which allows for a batch move to SD and uninstall capabilities. 3G traffic monitor, do not disturb timer for silencing, airplane moding your phone at certain times. And it also has something that's kind of cool that I haven't used, but sounds like a nifty feature, an app lock. So you can actually set certain apps on your phone to be locked. So you might have an unlocked phone and you don't want to always enter in your lock code every time you open your phone, but you want your really important apps to be locked, like Gmail and SMS or whatever. So you can set that through here. It's also got some nifty diagnostics that you can that are just a part of your pull down. When you pull down the top of the screen, and it shows you all the remaining notices and stuff. Up there at the very top, you can kind of see it's got a readout of how much time you have left on your battery, how much space you have left, the number of running apps, which is kind of an interesting thing. I didn't know that. I'd never really seen the number of apps, and when I saw like 15 or 16, it really makes you realize just how much background stuff you have going on. And then, of course, the app lock, and you can kind of customize that as well. But it was just kind of cool because I had a few, apps on my phone eating up space that did a lot of these different things. Yeah. And some of these things are system features that if you didn't have an app to do it, you'd have to kind of delve into the menus and, find the app and, remove preferences and do all that kind of stuff. This kind of allows you to do that without having to dive in there like that.
That's super cool. I'm totally going to install this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When I install an app and I don't uninstall it after a week, I realize that maybe I actually want to keep it because I keep my phone pretty light for the most part with apps.
Funny how that works. It's like natural selection.
Totally.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest app on the phone. So
speaking of battery life and maintaining battery life, we got a bunch of emails about this really interesting application called LTE on off. Which actually it's for the HTC Thunderbolts, and now that LTE is in play, and with the various different networks that are out there, we really have no control over how our phone connects to whatever networks. So what LTE on off lets you do is actually lets you specify what network you want your phone to connect to. So you could say, only connect to CDMA, only do EVDO, do CDMA plus LTE and EVDO on auto, go to LTE mode, and that will allow you to, if you have the Thunderbolt, extend your battery life because the phone constantly trying to make that connection will sap your battery faster than you know. That just happened to me this weekend at the convention. I was in the Moscone Center, and that con floor is just a signal suck. And my phone kept on trying to make that 3G connection, and my battery would go from 100 to 30 in about 2 hours. So giving you more control over where what the network kind of reach outs are doing lets you keep your battery life longer and gives you ultimately more control over the phone, which is what we all want. So
absolutely.
Very cool. Yeah.
Nice. That'll probably go a long way to help. I would hope, anyways, help HTC Thunderbolt users because that's a very, very common complaint is that the battery life is significantly less than what we're kind of accustomed to at this point, probably because of the LTE. So.
Well, and I also think that we always complain about the battery life, no matter what phone.
That's true.
I mean, it's just like, oh god, the battery runs out so quickly, and it's like I've really started to try to monitor what I'm doing and where I am and what the differences are and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the battery, they're not lying to us about the battery times when they release it. I think we're using all these apps that are doing multiple calls. I think that there's a lot of simplicity in the network calls because the apps are all running on themselves. And I think we're going to see a lot more development of trying to pipeline those a little more so that you're not pinging the network so often and draining the battery. But that hasn't come yet. So
yeah, and that's probably actually a really good tip for us to do at a future episode or ways to conserve battery. And I mean, right at the top of the list is to go into all of your background processes. Do you really need it to update every 5 minutes?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Maybe scale it back to 10 or 30 or the news app, widget. Like there was a time when I had that set for every hour, and it's like, why do I need to pull in news headlines every hour when I look at it? Maybe
really
every 6 hours.
Exactly.
I turn off a lot of those automatic updates, and I'm just like, listen, I'll hit the refresh button when I want it. With the Twitter app, I turn those back. I don't want it to be updating constantly. Let me just find out when I can, when I want to look at it. And so, little tips like that. I mean, and I went out the other Saturday night. I started, we're rolling out to some parties, and I realized, I'm like, okay, I've got 19% battery left. Can I make it to 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
And like, okay, well,
I'd say no. Did you make it?
No, I did make it. I made it. I never killed my phone at all. So yeah. So it was. But I turned off syncing. I turned off GPS. I turned off. I brought the brightness all the way down. All this stuff. So
what's annoying is that a lot of these apps automatically come with notifications. So I launch it and I don't remember. Then all of a sudden I'm getting notifications at the top of my bar. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go in. I don't think about it because it doesn't prompt me when I first use it. It's just already doing
Default.
it, and I need to
exactly.
go in and change it and turn it off. So that's a little annoying. I wish I had a little prompt that said, do you want it or not? Most of the time I'm going to say
when you first
no.
open it.
Yeah, when I first open it. I would like to not, I would like to say no from the very moment, I launch an app. But all right, moving on to our next story, which ironically came out on April 1st. So it's a very good article from Wired, and I thought it was a joke. But the article is really good because, as the title says here, Android Trojan highlights risks of open markets. And we were talking last week about, being open and the risk for that, and why, Google took away, Honeycomb for the time being. And we'll put this link to the article in our show notes. But essentially, the first part of the article is talking about how there was a pirated version of an app called Walk and Text. And the pirated version was android.walkandwhat, W-A-T. And what happens is if you install the fake app, it redirects you to the actual app on the Android marketplace, but in the background sends you an embarrassing, well, quote-unquote embarrassing, I don't know if you think it's embarrassing, SMS message to your entire phone book that says, hey, just downloaded a pirated app off the internet, Walk and Text for Android. I'm stupid and cheap. It costs only $1. Don't steal it like I did. So, I don't know. I mean,
it also tweets something out if you have a Twitter account.
And it tweets, it did a lot of things there. I don't know. What did you guys think? I thought it was an interesting article overall, just, about the differences of the various marketplaces, what's safe and what's not. And I totally thought this whole app thing was a joke from the beginning, but I guess it was, a real thing.
Yeah, and this whole time that you've been talking, I've had my eyes peeled to the chat room, waiting for that one person to be like, "Dude, that was such an April Fool's joke."
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't believe that it was. I think really what this does is it points out the obvious, and maybe people need to be reminded of that, is that when you venture into the world of installing APKs from unauthorized sources, you really don't know what you're going to get. And maybe 9 times out of 10 you're going to get an app that you saved $1.54 for just to run that app. It's not that much money, but you don't know what you're going to get, and you never know what the payload's going to be. Hopefully that was the payload, is that all it does is send out a Twitter message and an SMS, and maybe that's enough to shame you from doing that in the future. But it could have been a lot worse. Could have stolen your contacts instead of just sending an SMS to them.
And done something to your contacts alongside yourself. Yeah. So I just say to be careful.
Consider, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary.
That's right. All right. So just a really quick update, because I'm realizing we're long. We got a little bit of show left here to do. Google Maps for Android just added a few new features, so check for an update. The 2 new features involve latitude. You can view stats and graphs of your location history. Eileen, you probably love it because it's stats and graphs.
I love stats and graphs.
Yay!
Including estimates that break down how you allocate your time at work, home, or elsewhere. Ooh. It also includes a home check-in when you're not out, which I thought was kind of silly. Like, on any of these location things, I would never check in at home.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want you to know when I'm at home or where my home is.
It's
I guess it depends
to me
on
to
who you're
find
sharing it with.
Many people who have listed their home as a check-in availability.
Right.
But.
So this is like, you can more of like a default, check in at home. So anyways, I'm always thrilled when Google Maps rolls out updates, because it's literally one of my most used apps. And anytime there's an update, even though I probably won't use either of these features, I love how active they are in developing for it.
Cool.
Yeah. So Firefox 4 Android update. I've been afraid to use it since I installed it and it crashed my phone.
Yeah.
But we did get it. It did get a couple updates have been released from it, and I have played with it a little more stable. I haven't gotten that horrible lockup that Eileen you got previously as well, where I had to take the battery out. Yeah, battery out. But I haven't used it for that fear. I've been waiting until I got updated to 2.33, but that hasn't happened yet. So
okay, yeah. I did try again. 3rd time's a charm, right?
Yep,
no.
Yep.
This time it locked up on me with Amazon.com, so I had to pull out the battery again, and then I thought, gosh, it doesn't work for the Nexus S. quite yet until I get the update. So I'm not going to download it anymore until I get the update.
Yeah, and I tried to install it. Oh, I was able to install it, but not without seeing a message that said it's incompatible for my device. When I went online to search it, it wasn't just the fact that I have a rooted phone. I guess the Motorola Droid is an unsupported device for Firefox 4 for some reason.
I'm not surprised though, because Firefox it's a bear. It's going to be Firefox has a legacy of being a memory hog and a process hog and that sort of thing. I can't imagine it running. No offense on your Droid. I think they're doing you a favor.
Yeah, they might be. I mean, honestly, I've had it installed for a few days now, and even though I can actually run it. It gave me that message, but I can still run it. But I'm so fine with Dolphin HD. It's just the browser I'm used to using, and I have no reason to switch. So,
although I do gotta admit, the like 30 seconds I get of Firefox before it crashes, the little gestures to get the awesome bar, you know, how on the left and the right,
swiping on the bar.
It's very cool until the phone stops. Yeah, until the phone stops working. So
yeah. All right, one last app before we go into the arena, and this is kind of related to the in-app story. Comixology is out, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute here. I've got it up here on my little Zoom.
There you go.
And with in-app purchasing, I could buy issue 83 of The Walking Dead in the app. In the app. So, you know.
Nice.
It's just another option,
was this release timed with Comic-Con?
It feels like it was. I think it came out on Friday, right?
It was coincidence, total coincidence. It was timed with the in-app purchases of Google rolling out. It just happens to be at the same time as WonderCon here in San Francisco. But Comixology's had their Android app for a while out, and this is a pretty big update. And it's good. They do a good job with their applications. I mean, I'm a little biased because I work for Graphically, which also does digital comics, and we have an Android app as well. But you're going to see in-app purchases coming from comics apps and a lot more other kind of apps down the road. I'm sure of it, because in-app purchase is the way to go. So.
Yeah, I would imagine it's kind of a no-brainer to have that as part of a comic app. Yeah, but it looks nice.
Yeah,
it's very good. Did you buy that from within the app?
No, this was a free one. Some zombie.
Got to be honest, comics on the tablet, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of made for it.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those killer, kind of killer apps. If only they could. Now I can babble about comics all the time. I'm sure everybody's sick of it when I do. But pricing and availability, that's the two biggest challenges now in comics, is just getting the titles digitized and getting them up available, and then making it to a price point, that sweet price point, that 99 cents per MP3, that music got to. Comics isn't there yet, so it's interesting to see.
Some of them are like $12.99. I noticed.
And if you look at it, you probably want to look at the page count. Like 12, the ones that you see that are like $8.99 or $9.99 or whatever are probably graphic novels that are probably like 120 or 200 pages or so.
Yeah, The Walking Dead here is only $2.99, and
that's a 22-page comic. So that's 22 pages at $2.99. Some people think that's a little more expensive. The paper comics cost about $2.99 or $3.99 as well. Okay. So it's the same problem that music ran into years ago. So we'll get there. So
all right, Archie's 99 cents.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to buy Archie, but
Archie's great. Archie's been kicking.
I remember those when I was a kid. Absolutely.
I know.
All right. Well, we'll pardon my stumble here, but because this is my very first read here. But we want to take a quick break and thank MailRoute. Businesses of every size use MailRoute. 1 user, 50,000 users, it doesn't matter. MailRoute will protect you from spam and viruses, simplify your life, and make your email usable again. MailRoute is a secure hosted service that filters virus and spam from companies of any size. Whether you're a single user or a company with tens of thousands of employees, MailRoute can eliminate viruses and spam, reduce the load on your email server, lower the costs, and make your email usable again. Typical MailRoute customers see a 95% reduction in their inbound email volume with virtually no false positives. Now, Leo loves MailRoute. I'm sure you've heard him talk a lot about it. He's been using the service for his domains for over 6 years, and MailRoute has been his top choice for spam and virus filtering all along. And as well, Tom Merritt started using MailRoute, and now he's using email domains he'd given up on a long time ago. So there's nothing easier for mail filtering than MailRoute. There's no hardware or software to install. You just sign up with the MailRoute and then change the MX records for the domain to start your mail flowing through them, and then they do all the work for you. Visit mailroute.info to sign up, and as a TWiT listener, you'll receive a 10% discount for the life of your account. Small business owners start at $2 per user per month for 10 users. And because of demand from the TWiT army, MailRoute has added a new feature for individual users as well. Less than $30 per user per year for single users. Visit mailroute.info and sign up for the email filtering service that Tom and Leo use. And maybe I'll check it out too. I got to figure out if I have an email address that's overridden with spam first. I don't know if I do, but
I have one.
I feel like I need to use it in order to talk about it. Anyways, all right. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into the arena.
To enter, one lives. Android Arena.
All right, so let's start off by talking a little bit about our poll from last week. If you remember, let's see here. We were talking about. I'm going to pull it up here. I'm trying to do two things at once.
App stores.
Markets, app stores, and not surprisingly at all, there were about 150 votes. Google Android market took it with 75%. Slide Me, hey, there were 4 votes for Slide Me. But you know what was actually emailed in, and I knew someone was going to come forward and say, why some of these other things have a certain level of popularity. Slide Me, I guess, when these Android tablets were coming out before there was Honeycomb, and they didn't have an app store included. Slide Me was one of those markets that kind of was catered to those tablets. So it had a niche that it was catering to. So that's that. But this week, what do we have?
Well, we're going to talk about cloud storage music apps.
Nice.
In light of the Amazon Cloud Player.
Yes.
So we might as well just start there. We kind of teased it earlier in the show.
Yes.
Right, Ron?
Yes, totally.
Now I'm going to hand it to you to talk about
right.
it, including the app.
All right, cool. So, little story. I moved to Amazon to buy my MP3s years ago because the audio quality is better than iTunes. They encode their MP3s at a little higher rate, which I did like. And also, I just like Amazon. I just like it. It's like the whole thing. And the fact that I could pull it, download the MP3s from Amazon, and they had that little downloader, and it puts it right into iTunes, worked fine. Everything's great. So, like I said earlier, Amazon announced the Cloud Player. I ran home to play with it because I was also a user of Lala.
Yes.
If you remember, Lala was the cloud-based application that let you had it, and I forgot how Lala actually worked. You could upload songs.
Yeah, you could use it as a locker for sure, or you could buy really good prices actually. Buy music through them as well. Loved it.
All of my collection was in the cloud, and had access to it. Oh, this is before like apps were really
and
awesome.
And then Apple bought Lala, and what I thought would be rolling out iTunes in the cloud, which everybody thinks, but as of right now, Lala's dead, so you got no option. So I was excited for Amazon because I'm like, great, excellent. So the Cloud Player. So I ran home, got my computer, I got into it, read into it. First thing out of the gate, I felt like I got punched in the face because it's like, okay, welcome to the Amazon Cloud Player. You can upload and store all your music with Amazon. Upload your entire collection right now. Here's 5 gig. 5 gigs, really.
Your entire collection.
Now, for those who don't know or not, I'm a bit of a music file. I love music. I've worked in record stores. I'm a bit of a nerd. I've got a lot of music. Right? So I looked into it, and now I understand. And I don't want to be one of those people who gripes about not wanting to pay for the services. I get it. Like they've got to pay people to maintain and decode this stuff, and things cost money. Hard drive space costs money, server space costs money. But I calculated how much it would cost me based on the pricing system to upload my entire collection to the cloud, and it would be over $100 a month, or no, a year. What was the number? I forget what it was. It was a lot of money though, more money than I wanted to pay. So now they did do a very smart promotion, if you ask me, which is that they allowed you to buy an album, and they instantly gifted you the 20 gig plan for a year.
Yep.
So I immediately did that. So I do have 20 gig of storage space, which is more than 5, and so that's good.
You're still picking and choosing.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my first kind of like, so I signed up for it, and I went through the whole kind of thing, and then I thought, okay, great. I've been buying music on Amazon for years. Clearly, my cloud is going to be populated with all the songs I purchased. Not so much.
Really?
They're not syncing any of the purchases you made before Cloud Player launched. They've changed they have changed the way Amazon MP3 works now. Whereas when I buy a song, they just put it right into my Cloud Player,
and it doesn't count to that 5 gig or 20 gig. It's
No, I believe it does. I believe it counts to your storage. Storage is storage, unless I missed that. But I'm pretty sure that if you buy something, they're still counting the size of the file that they put into your storage. So
I think when you buy it, it doesn't count against your limit.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So if you buy from Amazon, you win and that's their way of getting you to buy on Amazon. Is like buy on Amazon. It's not gonna touch the 5 gig if you didn't want to buy and get upgraded to the 20 gig. So
okay,
chat room appears to be confirming.
Okay, good. I've been a little busy. I apologize about that. So great. That's excellent. That's awesome.
Still, that only works on the music that you buy going forward. Here, that's such a bummer. That does not reward the people that are true fanatics.
I've been using it for a long time.
Yeah.
But that said, I like the web. I like the player itself. I started out on the web. So just to clarify that, I started out playing with the player on there. I like the interface. I figured it out, how to organize stuff, how to upload stuff, how to download stuff that you buy from Amazon. You can download those MP3s back to your local computer. That's cool. And then I was like, okay, cool. I'm set on the web. Let me go over to my phone. And so I went to download the app, and it took me a second to realize that they had just updated the existing Amazon MP3 app to add the player functionality to the store.
Yes.
That confused me for about 10 minutes because I was like, wait a minute, I already have this app. Yeah. But once I downloaded and installed it, I really, really liked it. I got to admit, having access to the songs that are up on that Cloud Player and the sync happened really quickly for me. Being able to organize have playlists or search by artist or album or songs was super easy. Going to the store straight from the app and buying stuff straight from the phone, throws it right into the Cloud Player. It just seemed really seamless. They did a great job on the app at the end of the day. So I love it. I'm maxed out on my 20 gig. What I did was it made me weed out my collection a little. Like, what do I really need to listen to? But right now, and we're going to talk about radio next, right? RDO or whatever it's called. Yeah. So I have a subscription to RDO. I think I'm going to cancel it.
Wow. Okay.
Well, because the reason why I got RDO is because I was on the road and I'd be at an airport or back in New York and I want to listen to my music. And I was using RDO for streaming, but now I can get actually to my music. So
okay.
Wow. Yeah. But you're getting to 20 gigs. Is that enough for you?
No. Well,
are you gonna pay extra to upgrade it? And in a year, are you gonna pay to keep the 20 gigs?
Well, that's the thing. What I don't want to do is I don't want to have to be managing my cloud presence in that. Okay, I've got 20 gigs, so I need to delete these albums to upload these albums and do stuff like that. But like, I just opened up my iTunes. I have right now I've got in this iTunes on my laptop. I've got 75 gig of music. That's on my external hard drive that I take with me when I travel. That's why I want to get rid of that. That's why I want this Cloud Player. But on my desktop computer, and I've got over 125 gig. But like, I've got maybe 5 gig of Christmas music. I don't need that in the cloud.
Yeah, right.
That's cool. Like, I don't need all the various soundtracks to the Star Wars movies. I can leave that on.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. But and so further, like, makes you say, okay, what do I actually listen to? What do I actually like? That album I bought 5 years ago that was a novelty download. I don't need to have that. But what are my favorite bands? What are my favorite playlists? Let me get those uploaded. So yeah, I mean, this honestly, this gave me everything that I would want out of whatever Apple's working on and what they're doing with Lala for iTunes in the cloud, which we know they're not going to do it as good. So problem solved. So, and I don't mean that in an Apple bashing kind of way. Just my experience with iTunes, with Ping and all stuff like that, is that Apple's not going in a direction I want to be going in. So,
Ping is horrible. Ugh,
yep.
I don't even know what that's about.
Well, and just the fact that if you're using your Android phone as your music player, their service probably isn't going to work for you.
Right.
So.
Yep. Exactly.
You don't have to find something else whether you want to or not. So
yeah. So I'm despite the charging for storage, I love it. I totally love it. Totally on board.
Nice.
So.
Okay.
All right, Eileen.
Well,
the RDO.
Yeah, you've already mentioned RDO, and for many of the same reasons before the Amazon Cloud Player came out, I also moved to RDO because I lost Lala, and I debated for a very long time. the biggest con, I think, that most people should know up front is that this is a music subscription service. So $4.99 if you want to use the web, and $9.99 if you want to incorporate the apps that you can get on your Android or iPhone. And again, it took me months to finally pull the trigger on this because I didn't want to do the subscription service. But once I finally did, and this is, again, before Amazon Cloud Player came out, I was actually pleasantly surprised, mostly because now with Amazon, it's all your music, and you know, as much as you can upload if you want to pay, you know, the larger 20 gig or whatever, or higher. With Rdio, you can upload your music. Now, a lot of the music that they have here is legal. They have deals with various record companies. And so there is an Rdio desktop player. You could upload your music if it is, you know, in cahoots with that label.
If it matches
If
the...
they have it. If they
Now,
have
there's
it.
a lot of
Right,
music
so-
that I
yeah.
have that isn't on the Rdio player uploaded onto that because they just don't have a deal yet with that specific record company. But for the most part, it grabbed a ton of my music. And what I also like about it is that, you know, now I could just, oh, here, the Strokes. If I want, I don't know if I want to buy it. I'm going to put it on my Rdio playlist, and I'm paying the monthly fee. I am paying the $9.99 fee, and it's there. It's in the cloud.
That's actually a really great point, is the sampling fact. I didn't even think about that.
I love the sampling because I don't know if I'm going to purchase the song or the entire album, but I have it now in my collection. The other cool thing is that on the app itself and on the desktop, you can choose to have it go offline. So I have a ton of compilations that are offline that I could listen to without having to have 3G or Wi-Fi. So say the Strokes, this album here online, I could choose to make that, even though I don't technically physically own it, I could say, yes, add it to my collection, yes, sync it to my mobile so I can listen to it whenever I want. It's kind of like having it on my phone. The difference is, you know, they'll let you do that for, you know, how many gigs you have on your phone.
Right.
So this is 16 gigs now. I'm down to 12, so I really only have 12 that I could fill up, so you got to be careful there. Yeah. The other thing that I really like about Rdio is the social aspect. I like learning, you know, what my friends, because you follow people, just like you used to in Lala, and you used to be able to, like, say, recommend tracks and you know, see people's social you know, what even just see what they recently listened to. Oh, I didn't know he liked that. Okay, I'm going to check that out. I like knowing and discovering music that way too with my friends. So that's why I like Rdio.
The playlist sharing is great when you know, like, you know, okay, listen, I know this person's got good taste in music. Oh, they just put up a new playlist. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah,
and it's the closest to the mix. Like, that's what all us music fans want. Like, you know, I use atracks.com to put a mix up like once a month up on the web. But the playlist on Rdio, before I kill Rdio, and now I'm second guessing killing Rdio. Eileen, you got me. Because I want to share my music with my friends, and that's the perfect way to do it. So.
Well, and you can follow, like, there's influencers like Spin Magazine and, you know, Pitchfork and stuff, so they know their music too. But I don't know. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet on Rdio. I love having my app here, and now I have it on the Xoom, and I could listen. I could create my playlist. I have my entire collection on here, and you could tell which one is offline because you see the little, like, I think that's supposed to be a cell phone, but it's an orange little bug here. I put Bruno Mars offline so I can listen to him whenever I want. The thing about the Android app that I'm waiting for, it needs to be upgraded to give me, you know, new releases, a tab, suggestions, recommendations, stuff like that I know the iOS people have. So just a little disappointed that the Android app hasn't been updated as well. Yet, but overall, I still use it quite a bit. I have a widget. The widget tends to just play anything. It's sort of like giving me whatever kind of recommendation. It's just sort of recommending. It's not playing my actual playlist. All of a sudden, I'm just hearing music like, I didn't add that to my collection.
Well,
that's okay.
It's like a radio.
Yeah,
that's how I looked at it.
Yeah, and I like it actually because then I'm learning about new music that I might not necessarily know about. So I'm not quite ready to pull the trigger on Rdio quite yet. But again, some people may not want to pay that $9.99 or $4.99 a month, so I totally understand. But there are a lot of pros to a service like this.
They do also have a Mac app for the desktop, like an iTunes-like client in the Mac App Store, which is a free download, I believe.
Yep, it is a free download, and that's what I synced all my music to. Yep. or what I could sync my music to.
Audio is a great application. I mean, I've been using it for the past. I signed on to it right when it launched, and then they did a free trial, and then I was like, do I want to pay for it? And I didn't pay for it for a while, and then I found myself on the road a lot, and then I forgot my hard drive once, and so I didn't have any of my music with me, so I paid it up. I ponied up for it. I found myself really liking it. It's a cool, it's the founders of Skype. Those guys, Zenstrom and Janice Fries. So they've been down this road with Kazaa and all that stuff early in the 2000s. So it's interesting to see them try to do it and do it legally. Yeah. So I don't know, but now I'm second guessing canceling it. I like that social aspect. I really do.
I do, and that's the thing that I really love too. So I'm not quite ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The playlist sharing is cool. I mean, that's the thing that I always want to do. I mean, like I want to be able to make a mix for you and send it to you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And having the limited access to the catalog is really the one thing that's like, well, that's what I can use to justify canceling it.
Got it.
Yeah. So because I've already run into I want this band and they don't have it.
And they're not there. Yeah. You're definitely going to run into that. But I think they're still continuing to work with the relationships with various record companies, and based on who they already have, I'm sure those other record companies are going to pony up. I hope.
Yep.
At some point, we hope so. In the meantime. Dun, dun, dun. Why not make your own cloud? And
what do you got, Jason?
That's the app that I spent the last week playing with, and I got to tell you, I love it. It's Audio Galaxy Music. Number one, I'm fond of this basically because of Audio Galaxy. It's almost like how some people are fond of Napster because of its heritage. Audio Galaxy was like the music sharing service that came along after Napster went away, and I actually did use Audio Galaxy back in the day.
Is there no way?
Absolutely,
really?
Yes, I did use Audio Galaxy back in the day.
You might be the first person I know who was like an extended user of Audio Galaxy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I thought it was great. I don't know what it was about it, but I discovered there was a huge level of music discovery in it. It wasn't just do they have this album that I've been looking for, but you could sample a lot and kind of find similar artists that you'd never heard of. I discovered a lot of bands that I'd never heard of through Audio Galaxy back in the day. So it was really cool to see that they had an app, and I can't say that the app is anything like what their service was then, but what it essentially allows you to do is create your own cloud. Now, I would venture to say that the problem with any of the cloud storage services, or at least the thing that would kind of detract me from using them right now, in their current state, is the whole upload your collection aspect of it. I think it's a time suck. It takes a long time to go through and pick, okay, well, I have a limited amount of storage, so I'll go through and pick just these artists. Maybe it's a great thing to do from a curation standpoint, but it's going to take you a long time to do that. With Audio Galaxy, essentially you have to run your own server. So at home on my Mac Pro, I have the Audio Galaxy server set up. It's just a program that automatically launches in the background when I boot up my computer, and it's pretty low footprint. I haven't noticed any performance issues, and you essentially assign it the directories that you want it to look at. So I've assigned it to my music library. And then on the Android, on my device, I think they also have an iPhone app that I've heard isn't nearly as good. I don't really know why, but I actually really like the Android app. So it's kind of surprising to me that their iOS wouldn't be as good. But I'll go ahead and launch it right now. And I missed a call. Okay, so I'll rate later, and I promise I'll give you 4 or 5 stars. So it works with iTunes XML. Actually, you can point it at your iTunes XML, so it'll pull in all of your playlists and everything like that. Artists, of which I have a ton. I mean, I probably have 60 gigs of music at home. So I don't have to worry about syncing this to the cloud before I can use it. I can literally just have the server working at home, have all of my artists and albums and genres and everything kind of sorted out through here. Who do we want to play here? Let's go ahead and play a little Dinosaur Jr.
Nice.
So I'll go ahead and launch into this, and hopefully the music player is loud enough and it'll kick in here. There we go. All right. So it kicks in. The thing that I was really surprised about is that it doesn't really take a whole lot of time Here, I'll turn it down. That's really loud. It doesn't really take a whole lot of time to buffer. And actually, if you, let's see here, how do I get into the player? This is actually one of my downsides, is that when you start playing a song, it doesn't automatically pop up the player. I don't know necessarily how you get back to the player other than going back out here, but it should kind of take you there once you're playing so that you have the controls in front of you. But if I was to click forward, it launches right into it almost immediately. Like that was like a 2 to 3 second buffer time between the tracks. And, you know, I've used playlists that are a total random mix of my entire library and done the skip, and I guess I expected it to take a lot longer and be laggy, and it's not at all. And then you can do other, you know, silly things, which I tested out earlier in the week, you know, like tweet out the song that you're listening to, post it on Facebook, whatever, silly things like that. But, you know, there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles to Audio Galaxy. It just does what it does really well, at least for the Android it does. And you can create playlists and do all that kind of stuff. I love it. And another thing that I like about this, in comparison with some of just the regular music apps, let alone streaming music apps, is its ability to sync up album art like very easily. I don't know what it is, but any music app that I use on Android, when I'm playing MP3s, half of the album arts come up and half of them are just that stupid little music symbol. And on Audio Galaxy, I swear every single time it plays an album, if there's album art there, it appears, and it appears right at the moment the song starts playing. So there's no lag.
Really?
It's just really well done. I love it. Yeah. I will totally be using this for a long time, at least until there's a better solution. And if it, you know, if it ever comes around to there being a Lala replacement where I don't have to upload my music, I can just say, this is the stuff that I have, you know, replicate that. Great. But in the meantime, there's this. So.
Now, there are other apps out there that you possibly may be using, and not the three that we mentioned. There's Grooveshark, Mog, MSpot. There's Spotify for those of you out there who are not in America who can get Spotify.
Yeah,
we can't get that, so we can't talk about that here.
And we should probably mention that RDO, I believe, is US only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's Mog.
Yep. But going back, I guess someone wanted to...
Slacker Radio.
Oh, yeah. And then some people just like Pandora. That's not a storage locker, but you know, people just love just having streaming music. So there's a lot of different, you know, choices out there for you, thankfully, so that you can customize your music experience and what you want.
That's right.
I still don't think there's one out there that it beats everything else. You know, I think there's still that one be-all solution. But
not yet.
I don't think it's there yet.
And I don't think there'll ever be one be-all solution, just because the music industry is just too. It's just too, with all the licensing and all that sort of stuff. It's too crazy. I think it's going to be somebody like Amazon or Apple to get us closer.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for RDO, and I'm rooting for Spotify, and I'm rooting for these startups who are trying to make it happen. And Pandora is a proven success, but we see what the limitations that Pandora brought to the table. You have no control over the next song.
Yep.
You know, but we'll see. It's fun. You use them all. I use them all.
Yeah.
I love music. Yeah. So,
Absolutely. So
take our poll.
Yeah, we have a poll, and of course I have to switch back over to camera 6, and then I can take it. All right, it's poll.cm/1058.
Oh, we got a lot on there.
Yeah, you know, it's like where do you draw the line? And I actually made it multi-select, so if people use a couple, they can select their favorite. But go to poll.cm/1058, and there's a bunch of services up there that you can kind of take a look at. Maybe you've never heard of some of these, and you can check them out in the meantime. But go ahead and vote, and let us next week we'll kind of cover what some of your favorite cloud music services are, and go from there. We're going really long today.
I know we are.
So maybe we should skip the voicemail and just go directly to the emails.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
we'll skip the voicemail and we'll go to email, and I'll kind of condense this. This is from Mark Friedman, who says, "Hey guys, great first show. Thank you very much. I'm very interested in purchasing my first Android and could really use your help making that transition. Here's what's important to me in a mobile phone. I'm most concerned about syncing my contacts and calendar items, having IMAP access to my Gmail. Syncing music and photos would be great, but not as important. I'm a Mac iPhone 4 address book, iCal, and MobileMe user. It works very well for me. I hope there is a good way to switch my phone to an Android, preferably the Nexus S 4G on Sprint when it comes out." He talks about more, gives us more questions, and really, and then it says, "Any help would be great and much appreciated from Mark. So, Mark, I wanted to answer this as someone who has moved from, and I still have my iPhone, but I'm really using my Nexus phone more often than my iPhone. I want to tell you that, yes, if you are a former iPhone 4 user, the Nexus S is probably the phone that you will enjoy the most and not freak out because you've changed, OS. That's just my experience and my advice. What I like about it is, A, the phone feels really good in your hand. B, it's snappy, fast. You're going to get gingerbread right off the top of the bat, so you don't have to, start with Froyo or anything, below that. And I just really think that the experience is going to be a much easier transition. It's going to be really different no matter what phone you pick up, but my suggestion is for any iPhone 4 user, you guys are really going to enjoy the Nexus S if you jump to the Android. Now, switching your mail, your calendar, your iPhone, Mark, what you've given me is you've given me a segment that I should probably do, every couple weeks on the show is, how to move, how to switch, platforms. And I think maybe I'll do something like that in the, the next coming weeks. What do you guys think?
Cool.
You think that'd be useful for people? I think a lot of people want to know, right?
Absolutely.
So I'll break it down. You've got a bunch of questions here. I'll break this down. Maybe next week I'll have one question to answer. The next week after that, I've already told you which phone to get, so that should be a start, right? So thank you, Mark. Thank you so much, and thank you very much for the segment and recurring segment idea.
Yeah, I think the show's running short, so we need something to fill into the show.
We need more segments.
Yeah, totally. So, are we doing this next email? Or?
Yeah, let's do this last one and then round it up.
Our last email comes in from Steve from St. Paul, who says, "Hey, AAA team, love the first show, and I'm glad to see you on the TWiT network. He's my 2 cents on the handset size question that we were talking about last week about how big the phone should be. I have a fairly good-sized paw and never thought I could use a touchscreen for typing. I've been using my Samsung Vibrant Galaxy S for 6 months. The size is perfect. A 4-inch screen fits in the pocket nicely, and I can still type when I need to, though often I use voice input. The 4.3-inch phones, though, seem ginormous. Such a little difference, yet a whole feel of the handset is different. Let's hope we keep having some range of choice as new devices come out, especially since I'll probably have to get new hardware from when AT&T gobbles T-Mobile and have to go searching for a CDMA home. Don't worry about it. I don't even want to think about it. Yes, it's so way off. It may not even happen. You never know. But yeah, it sounds like the 4-inch is the right size, and he's right. The difference between the 4.3 and the 4-inch, it's amazing how such a little difference can make such a big improvement. But he does bring up that he uses the voice input. I started using that this weekend because I was just typing. I was texting people so much my fingers were hurting, and I was like, oh, let me use voice input. And for me, it's not quite there yet, and I still have to go back to the typing. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I've used the voice input quite a bit, and yeah, same deal. It's great. It's great, but it's probably not going to. It's going to require some editing after the fact.
It's also not. It's not good when you're standing in the middle of a convention center with 40,000 people. And
that is true.
Yes, I want to meet you tonight.
I know. When you're using the voice input, you almost always revert to like this robotic voice because that's the only thing that it can pick up better than anything else.
Can you get the chicken?
I turn into my mother talking to somebody not from America.
Yeah.
Whenever she meets a foreigner, she's like, "Do you like New York?" And
that's so funny. It's so true.
Just going along the same lines, about the size and whatnot, we did get an email, someone, I'm sorry, I'm not saying who it is, but said, I'm surprised in typing, and we were talking about fat fingers, and this person said, I'm surprised you guys didn't mention swipe. I like swipe, but I have to say I liked it better on the Galaxy Tab than I liked it on the phone. I used it for a while here on my phone, and then I kind of ditched it. But
I did not. I used swipe for a couple of weeks, and I just it didn't grab me. I think it works great on a tablet. Amazon, one thing, did we mention with the App Store? No, that was last week, actually. Yeah, the free apps. One of their free apps last week was SwiftKey, which is something that I used a while ago and then didn't continue using. And then when that came up, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try again. I've actually been really liking that. So
SwiftKey? Yeah, I like it too, actually.
But yeah, swipe just didn't grab me.
That'll be in
that'll have
arena.
To be one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was a hardcore swipe user. I loved swipe when I had my Nexus 1, and then I switched to the Nexus S, and I just been too lazy to install it.
Yeah.
But I need to do something because the default Android keyboard, the keys are too small for me. I'm making typos like crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, not good.
Okay.
So.
I think that
All
does
right.
it, right?
That does it. Here, I'll go ahead and throw up the email address on the screen. That's it for this week. Don't forget, you can be a part of the show. You can send us an email at aaa@twit.tv. Send us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. And you can catch us live every Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. And that's it. See you next week, everyone. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Eileen.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
This is fantastic.
Awesome.
Bye.
Take care.